Here we go. This is Killer Nikels, present day Ivan Warsaw.
This is Alan Steele. This is Gary Roosevelt Gram. This is the Golden Boy Greg Anthony. This is John Saxon.
You listen to the
Live in Color with my brother Cerebus,
Wolfie D, baby.
Hey, this is Jimmy Street, host of the Live and in Color with Wolfie D podcast. Hear the life and times of professional wrestler Wolfie D. From his time in the territories with PG-13 to his time in WWE, ECW, WCW, TNA, and more. Nothing is off limits and nothing will be held back. Thanks again for tuning in. Here he is, Wolfie D.
Welcome once again to Live and in Color with Wolfie D, your man Jimmy across the street. And yeah, Jimmy, my voice is still jacked up. Went to the doctor, and he said if it don't come back, like I'm not sick no more at all. My voice is the shits. And so the doctor told me the other day that if it don't come back in like 2 more weeks to come back, and to let him know, and he's gonna have to send me to a ear, nose, and throat doctor, just like because the COVID cough apparently can damage your vocal cords. So that's one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You may be stuck with this, or I may be. Everybody might be. Or,
everybody is.
We'll just have to quit the podcast.
Post in the comments below if you want us to stay on the podcast here.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if you like Wolfie's voice better.
Yeah. Do you miss it?
But anyway, what's going on with you this week?
Not much, brother. Just the world, man. It's upside down. I don't really want to.
Upside down, inside out.
It's just no way to describe it.
I posted on social media about this, but I was having a conversation with Nick Dinsmore, Eugene, and I said, you remember when we were kids and we got in the business and all the old timers would be like, everything's art, kid, everything's art. And in the back of your mind, you're like, yeah, whatever. And it's true. It's turned out that they were fucking right.
Yeah, exactly.
I read that. Fucking work, man.
It is, man. I mean, and you've said that sometimes before, just about different things, football, politics, whatever. But it's all a work, man. We're in a simulation.
and the Matrix. And there was another saying that was, don't believe anything you hear and only half of what you see.
Yes.
And that's becoming true as well. I mean, especially the first part. But the second part, I don't know what the fuck's truth or not anymore. I think we've been lied to, and we know we're manipulated on being able to even find the correct information. They're not putting it all out there.
No.
So it's hard to know, is what I'm reading here true or not? And so and it's separating us as people. People are losing friends over this shit. And I ain't just talking
family
about
members,
the political stuff, but just it's division, man. Division.
Misinformation at the highest level. Let's just say that, man. Yeah. But
so the real information for today is we're going to start today a 2-part series. We told you about it last week. This is a first for us, having, 5 people coming on?
5 guests plus us, 7 total.
All at the same time. We're not going to have one, then drop him and do it. No, all at the same time. Group convo.
Yeah, this is going to be fun, man. Very fun. Yeah.
TCW was a great time, dude. I really enjoyed it. I don't want to talk too much about what we're fixing to talk about, but it was great, man. Good stuff. So, again, I urge people that if you haven't watched it, get on YouTube and search for it. Traditional Championship Wrestling, based out of Missouri. So, man, I don't know what else to say about it. You got anything else before we get all 5 of these homeboys on here?
No, and I'll say it probably again, but I watched this stuff when it was happening. And then of course, I've watched it over the years, and man, it's still just high quality pro wrestling entertainment. And dude, I feel like if something would have stepped right instead of left or whatever, I feel like, man, it might be still going today. You never know. Sure. But anyway, you've seen that happen so many times. But this one actually was closer to the finish line than any of them, I would assume.
Oh, I really did.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't want to talk more about it because I want to talk to these guys. So, let's get these guys on the line here. So I think we've got Greg Anthony, we've got Killer Nikels, Ivan Warsaw, we've got John Saxon, we've got Alan Steele, and we've got Gary Roosevelt the Dog Gram. Yeah. So let's get them on here.
All right, let's get them.
All right, we'll be right back after these messages.
Hey folks, to get your official Live It in Color with Wolfie D merchandise, go to prowrestlingtees.com/live Wolfie D. Check it out.
If you're listening to Live and in Color with Wolfie D on Apple Podcast and like what you're hearing, go ahead and leave a 5-star rating. And while you're at it, write a review. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what you'd like to hear in the future. It's very important to us and always appreciated. Thanks again.
All right, guys, we're back, and this is our first again on the show, Jimmy. You are a technical wizard, and we've got 5 people on the show today, and then plus me and you. So I hope the phone lines can hold up. We don't have no power outages or anything like that.
Man.
We don't want a grid lockdown. But today's show is about TCW, Traditional Championship Wrestling, that was based out of Missouri. I really, really, really had high hopes for this, man. I really did. You've heard me talk about it before. I went there. Matt Riviera was the guy that ran it. He called me up, and I went down there, showed up, man. What production. He had a truck in the back, with the satellite gimmick, the whole deal. It was like a pay-per-view or something. And they handed me a script, and it was like, dang, this is very fucking refreshing for a outlaw show, which is kind of what I thought it was. I mean, it was, but it wasn't, if that makes sense. So, Jimmy, did you do your research and look at some of the stuff on YouTube?
Dude, I love it. I mean, I'm serious, but I was a fan at the time. I'd worked on a couple shows with Greg, in Nashville, and I was kind of following where people were going because, heck, man, I was trying to see if I could find a booking somewhere too. And man, it was the next level from what I felt like somebody like a Burt Prentice was doing. I felt like this was had real money behind it.
Oh, it definitely had money behind it. It definitely had money behind it. Yeah. And that's the thing. And we'll dig into that. So, like I said, I got a bunch of guys on here, my buddies, that I want to introduce. First and foremost, one guy that they put me with, he was my partner, the Hounds of Hell. They said, we're going to stick you with this kid, man. Can you teach him something? And I'm going to tell you this, man, from the bottom of my heart, Gary, Roosevelt Gram, he listened to everything I told him, and I cannot tell you, he went from, a beginner to really good by listening to me, and I thank him so much for that. And he made me look good, and he made us look good. Gary, how are you doing today, buddy?
Hey, Wolfie, I'm doing great, man. Hey, that hits me right in the heart when you say that, man. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate
everything about you, man. And I want to dig into some of the stuff that you've done since then. I think it's very interesting. I think the people would like to hear some of that. But let me finish introducing everybody before we get there. Right. The next guy, man, was probably the first person to befriend me that I didn't know or anything like that when I got to TCW. John Saxon, man, what's going on, brother?
Hey, Wolf, man, I'm doing better than I deserve, sir. And man, I'm tickled to death to get a chance to do this. Man, I can't say how thrilled I am. And I'm going to tell you, bro, I had a hand in getting you to that company, even though I didn't know you.
Yeah.
I just loved to work out of Memphis, and I'd met you in Nashville once or twice where we didn't really know each other. And I went to Matt and I said, hey, man, this is a guy that could do us some good, dude. So, yeah.
And that's something else I want to talk about because I know you were kind of behind the scenes, helping out and kind of those type of things. And we'll talk more about that here in a minute.
Yeah.
Another brother from another mother, big bald-headed, ugly bitch like myself. I had one of his first matches, man, and he was the shits. But then he turned out to be pretty good, man. Killer Nikels, man, what's going on, brother?
Yeah. I always said, man, from that day, I said, man, this is my evil twin here. Fucking on the radio with the evil twin, Wolfie D, Killer Nikels. Still got a couple pictures of us too, brother.
Yeah, man. I got that one you sent me a while back, or I had you in a headlock or some weird shit. But yeah, always fun, man.
You were standing on the curb. You were standing on the curb trying to look all tall and everything. I remember.
I had to be. And then now we're going to introduce another person, a Memphis friend of mine. I accidentally punched him in the nose once. And he got color, no one told him to, and accidentally, touched him on the nose and he bled. Alan Steele, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, my whole career's been based around my nosebleeds. I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
It was a riot, Alan. I didn't know who was touching me, man.
Yeah, I know you didn't. I
didn't know much that night.
We can talk about that if you want to.
Oh, we sure will. We'll dig into that.
Absolutely.
Too. And last but not least, the champion of what is it? AIWF champion, Greg.
Beautiful belt, man. That's a beautiful belt.
Yep.
What's the name of the deal?
The AIWF World Heavyweight.
You are the world's champion. And where's that based out of?
There's 150 promotions across like 48 countries. So
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of an NWA type deal. They kind of reached out and kind of got a bunch of promotions to recognize it, and I'm the world champion.
Dude,
so blessed every day.
Yeah.
You had to have hooked the leg, man. You had to have.
Oh yeah. Twice.
Hey, I want to thank everybody for coming on. And, this, like I said, this is a first for us. It's usually the most we've ever had is like a tag team on. So we got 5 people and then me and Jimmy. So this ought to be fun. But I'm going to go in order here. And I just want to talk about like what I was kind of saying at the beginning. TCW had so much fucking potential. I would like to hear from each one of you, and y'all can chime in as you want. What were your first thoughts and like when you got there? You know what I mean? Or how did you hear about it before? Were you in the mix of talking about it before it ever started? Because I wasn't. Obviously, I came in a little later. But I just like to hear everybody's thoughts on it and chime in as you will.
Who goes first? I'll tell you, hey, this is Kevin Killer Nikels. Ivan Warsaw. I'll tell you this, I knew Matt Riviera since before TCW, and he's actually the one that gave me that name, Killer Nikels. When he started it, he brought me in and was like, I'm going to call you Killer Nikels, and I think I was already in works of getting a body bag and all that shit, and like early days before he had the production set up and everything, it was actually the first time I met Rodney Mack. And me and Rodney Mack had a match in the Marvin Vincent Center before all the lights he set up and everything. And, man, honestly, though, Matt put me in quite a few matches with some really good guys like Fitz Finley.
Nice.
A bunch out there working with Tim Storm in there. Got to really meet a lot of good guys and work with them and stuff. But, I mean, I was working at, I think it was still TCW, but it was before all the production setup and everything. But it was great, man. He'll pay you right when you get in the door, and get things going. I remember when Golden Boy came in and started doing the, everything he was doing with the booking wise and directing and everything. And, they had some organization going on, which, you don't always see some organization in these companies. And, then he started putting that money on, putting the lights on the ceiling and everything. And, man, it's kind of sad though. Another guy, Matt Bourne, man. I tagged up with him for about 2 years. It felt like, and shit, man, you just don't recreate guys like Matt Bourne these days,
Yeah, I'm sure you learned a lot from him.
Oh yeah. But towards the end of my go with it, and that's when I ended up getting signed and gone away, is when you came in, Wolfie D.
Exactly. So that was what I was going to say, man, is like, I think I kind of replaced you.
Yep.
Hey, this is John Saxon. Killer was going out. He did his last tape, my first tape coming in.
Yeah.
He was just finishing up because he had signed. And I remember that really well because I was bummed. Because I was like, damn, I won't get to work with him because we had worked previously over in West Memphis.
Yeah, we had that one match. Yep.
Yeah, and I remember going to the guy in charge there, and I was like, geez, man, you got a kid that the Fed would be really interested in. And I was like, man, I'll get a chance to work with him some more. But unfortunately, he was signed to Vince's deal and was heading out. And then I think, Wolfie, you came in, just a little while after that.
Yeah. I think it was you were part of the Bradford family, right, Kevin?
Correct.
Yeah. And so I came in. To the storyline, I was in prison, and I came out of prison and joined up with my brother, Roosevelt the dog.
Yeah,
Man, that's a good, that's a great addition.
Oh, hey, it's Gary Graham here, man. Actually, I went out. I was just an enhancement guy there at TCW, and Matt took me out on New Year's Eve, and he told me he's going to bring Wolfie D in. He's going to be my dad. That was the first way it was pitched to me, is you're going to come in as my dad.
Well, I mean, I guess that would have worked too. I don't know if I'm old enough to be your dad, but
shots fired. You're like 5 years older than me. So.
I was getting it early, man. Greg, what did you have to do with some of that type of early stuff there?
Yeah, so when when Matt started, they weren't traditional championship wrestling. They were originally just Mid-South wrestling. I think they were just kind of a continuation of Watson's thing, because they had Bill Ash helping, and at the time, Riviera wanted to bring in the Midnight Express. He wanted to bring in Bobby and Dennis and maybe Cornette with him, stuff like that. It just wasn't feasible at the time, because they weren't really taking bookings as a team. And at the time, me and Bobby were actually tagging. I got to tag with Bobby Eaton for 2 years, and which was an honor, obviously. So then I'm on some bullshit show in Arkansas on a Sunday afternoon. And it's one of those things where, the promoter comes to you and goes, well, guys, they didn't do very well, but if you want to wrestle, you can wrestle. So you guys know me, I wanted to wrestle no matter what, right?
Yeah.
So I went out there and had an opening match with a kid, and Riviera was there, and he came up to me afterwards and said, hey, how long you been training the kid? And I go, I don't know. That's not my kid. That's so-and-so's kid. And he goes, you mean you went out there and had that match with that kid and you've never met him before? I was like, yeah, that's true. And he goes, he booked me on everything ever since. That's and originally it was me and Bobby against him and Jeff Jett on the first show I did for him. And it was at a hotel, I think in Fort Smith.
Yeah.
And especially back in this day, you go into an arena and they got it set up for, 600-700 people. And, I'm like, there's no way he's going to draw 600-700 people. We were used to the first couple rows getting filled, that kind of thing. Well, I went out for the main event that night with them, and it was packed. It was, standing room only. So that's when I knew Riviera was legit, and I knew that, this was something special. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
Alan, what did you think, man?
Well, I knew Riviera before, kind of. I guess a few of us did, but he always told me that I don't remember what part of Arkansas it was, but Boss Winters was running the show. And Ward, Arkansas, and Riviera came in and worked there, and we got to know each other there. And then he actually came to West Memphis one night and saw me and Nikels. We had a feud going, and he saw me and Nikels beat the hell out of each other. And he got interested in both of us real quick. And so, but it was like you said, the word refreshing. It was, oh my God, it was next level. Like, you're so used to just guys setting up rings in whatever building they can get for the cheapest rent in town, and, not really promoting and that type thing. And then you walk in, and like Greg said, the first time you walk in and, you go out the curtain and it's wall to wall people. And it was like, this is why I wanted to do this 20 plus years ago. This is why I started doing this, and, we were on TV in Memphis and all that. This was just it was a step up. It felt big time to me. Yeah. And, it really felt like we were living the dream, seriously, and that's not being corny or not, but no, it felt amazing. It really did. I loved it from day one. I was hooked.
Yeah, I was completely into it once I got there, man. Not trying to be, big league or anything, but been to different places, bigger places. But when I got there, it was like, this has got some serious potential, man. It made me feel it kind of reminded me of TNA opening days, because I was there for those opening days, and I thought, man, this could be another TNA, man. But then I don't know, whatever happened, and I want to get into that later, maybe an hour or two. But I have my opinions on what went wrong, and I'm sure everybody else does, and that'll be fun to get into that. Jimmy, I'm going to roll across the ring, and I know it's early, but we got 2 hours here. I'm blowed up. Hot tag.
Oh, hot tag, baby! I'm coming in. Who can bump and feed?
I don't bump.
Okay, fair enough. All right, cool. All right, and let me. I guess let's ask each member again here, and let's go backwards. So it was Alan last time.
Yeah.
Okay, Alan, what was your?
I wasn't brought in. I just showed up.
So I guess what was your favorite moment during that time? And maybe it's a match, or maybe it's a promo, or maybe it's something else. But if it is a match, that's okay. But what would you say is your favorite moment during your time at TCW?
I've got I probably have several, but I remember it was the night that and just for single stuff, since my tag partner's not on this. For the
where is he? We'll call him. I'm just.
Well, it's because he hit me in the throat with a clothesline, and I couldn't talk for a week. I sounded like I do right now, so that's why I didn't call him.
Well, and I'm still paying him for that. So now. I mean, yeah, he works for AEW, kind of behind the scenes, the security type stuff, and on a regular basis. But he's a big wig in Oklahoma and stuff with like the Native Americans, so he's got a whole lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. That's cool.
But I mean, as far as I guess moments, and it's just me by myself, I had a really good, actually same card that Nikels worked with Finley. I wrestled Tim Storm.
Oh yeah.
And I think it was the first time that we had faced each other one-on-one. And to me, it just felt like the chemistry was through the roof. And we went out, and the crowd was just, any little thing we did was eating out of the palm of our hands. It was one of those matches that you wish you could do time and time again.
Yeah.
And, Storm's a hoss. So, trying to move him around. And he didn't like to be moved around that much. So I was like, I got to work out in while I was wrestling him. But
it's hard to keep his ass down too, man. Trying to get him to sell is like, fucking stay down, damn it.
Strong baby face.
Ronnie Garvin. I always get like a Ronnie Garvin vibe from him, man.
Man, yeah. I don't know how bulky Garvin was. I know one time he was like gassing the gills, but Storm was a big old boy, man, and college football player and all that, but man,
I guess I meant work rate, kind of. Yeah, but go ahead.
Dude, I'll tell you what, he is so solid that I did an elbow off the top on him, and I'm up there and I'm like, I'm fixing to get some air. This is gonna look good. Whoo, I jump as high as I fucking can, come down. I cracked or bruised a rib on his fucking chest. That's how solid that motherfucker is.
Right, he's a tank.
Yeah,
but no, we got a lot of praise from like Finley afterwards, and it was just a really good night. I mean, that was that event or show knocked it out of the park all the way around.
That's awesome.
But that's got to be on the list for sure.
Yeah, that's very cool, man. So, Greg, what about you, man? I know you're in the Empire. You had some ties to the office and stuff. What was your favorite moment?
I mean, going back to watching, I've known Killer Nikels since he started too, and to see him in the ring with Finley, that was fun for me. And when I talk about storytelling to younger guys, Killer Nikels is in the ring. He's waiting. He's pacing. He's waiting for Finley to come out there. Finley steps to the ropes, and he immediately takes a swipe at Killer Nikels. And all of a sudden, the referee's in a position where he's trying to back these two behemoths up from each other. I mean, that's storytelling. You know what I mean? Like in that half a second, we got what we needed to know, right? So, like, I go back to stuff like that, and, like, going back to what Alan was saying about Tim Storm. Of course, we were in the Empire, and so was Shane Williams, and Shane Williams was the champion at the time, and he was going against Tim Storm, and me and Riviera got involved in the match, and we got bumped off the apron, and then Tim ended up hitting the Boss Man Slam or whatever. Boom, 1, 2, 3, beat them. And me and Riviera are on the floor right next to each other, and the crowd is so loud for this win, you know what I mean, that we can't hear each other. Like, we're literally in each other's ear, and we still can't hear each other. And it's one of those, you know, we talk about magic moments in wrestling where, you know, you got them in the palm of your hand. Yeah. And that was one of them. They were got, you know what I mean? So that was always the best thing for me, is just seeing stuff like that play out.
That's awesome, and not selfish at all. I like that.
Yeah.
hey, let me jump the gun. I don't know if I'm next or not, but let me jump the gun because they touched on it. All right, so one of my biggest moments there, well, there's a bunch of them, you know, but so back at that show we had at the Marvin Vincent Center in Clarksville, Arkansas, I had that match with Finley, right? And but this was also while I was working that little program with Tim Storm, and we were going back and forth for a while. Well, you know, it was taping the TV episodes, and so it was going to work out where me and Tim did something. I don't remember what happened. I remember we had a big pull apart at the end of this one episode, and then the start of the next episode was going to be me and Finley. And so I'm at that. We're doing this pull apart. We're getting at it, man. You know. And some of the guys are pretty, you know, they're holding on to us pretty tight. And they're like, God damn it, get off me, you know, and trying to fight through and everything. You get a little blown up, you know.
Yeah.
And, and we was out there doing it for a little while. And then, boom, pull apart's over. We get back to the back. It seemed like maybe 5 seconds. All right, next episode, boom, here's your music. I'm coming out first for this match with Finley. You know, and I figured we were going for a while anyway. Come out for Finley, you know, and, you know, I was still like drinking that water before as I was going through the curtain to the water back, boom, and I'm in the ring waiting on Finley to come out. His music plays, and I'm watching it. You know, I'm kind of trying to work my gimmick going and stuff, but you know, being a fan of someone like that, you know, it's really cool being in the ring, like watching them come out, you know, and I was just kind of like, just like watching him come out and shit, like, oh man, he looks badass. Like, oh, this is gonna be great, you know. I kind of took myself out of the match, you know, unintentionally, and like Golden Boy said, you know, like, and this is badass. I loved it that he did this. You know, he just rolled in the ring, just came out, just slapped me in the face. Boom! He's like, "Wake up, boy!" And then it was like, snap me back into it, and I'm coming right back at him. You know, and we're, you know, like, but like, I'll never forget that. Like, even whenever I have a match, like anytime I'm into the match, but it's always like, you know, fucking slap your ass into it, get fucking right, get ready, you know, and
yeah,
just that one little moment, and watching it back, I watched that match back plenty. Like, you can't really, you kind of miss it, you know. But like when it's like, I mean, Golden Boy though, but he remembered. Mm-hmm. For me though, that was like a big piece of something that is just really unseen, you know. But it was badass, and that was a great match with Finley. You know, we didn't talk about shit. Like, I think like early in the day when he got there, he came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm Dave." I'm like, "Hey, I'm Kevin," and then he kind of just, I didn't see him until like, you know, right before we came out. He just asked me, he kind of questioned me about how I would take a hip toss. You know, like, yeah, I'll take a hip toss. You know, I'll do anything you want, man. We're good. And then he was like, okay, all right, then let's get ready to go. Yeah, we went out like, it was like 20-minute match, you know. I mean, you know, kind of, that's the way you just did it, you know. But, you know, at that time and at this present time, that ain't how they do it no more, you know.
Right. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, John, what about you, brother?
You know, listening to everybody else talk, man, honestly, I couldn't pick one thing because there were so many things for me. What a lot of people didn't know at that time, and, man, I was right at 50 years old when I got there.
Yeah.
So,
no shit.
You know,
wow.
I had been huge on the Gulf Coast for many, many years, and I traveled international and did stuff. But, you know, I got an opportunity to work with a lot of guys that I had heard about because, you know, you hear guys in areas that are talented. If I had $1 for every time somebody saw me that had seen Alan Steele over the years and said, man, y'all should be a tag team. And I was like, man, this guy, okay. And then I finally, my first night, I worked with him and Michael Berry, and I don't mind telling you, it was a stunning match. Me and Steve Anthony was my tag partner. We came in as the New Orleans Fight Club, and that didn't last long. Matt split us pretty quick. But I remember getting done, and we were in, I think it was Clarksville was my first one, and they had an elevator. You had to take the elevator back upstairs to the locker room, and Chris Cruz was doing commentary, and he walked up and he said, "My God, where'd y'all come from?" I said, "How was it?" He said, "That's what I mean. Man, y'all should have been here already." I said, "Well, look, man, I'm thrilled to be anywhere at 50 years old, you know." And but I had met Matt, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't remember it, but he remembered it. A lot of guys don't know. I had TV back in the 90s that covered the Gulf Coast for almost 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
I went from Louisiana all the way over to the Florida line.
Wow.
And
That's
so
awesome.
I had done business with so many guys who had worked for Vince. I had a lot of contact with guys. Matt knew that, and I guess Matt tried to get us to put him on TV early on when he first started. And so that's, and you know, we kind of went back and forth for almost a year, him trying to get me to come up, and we were haggling. I ain't gonna lie, we were haggling about money. And but when I finally got there, I felt like, man, this is gonna be the place to be. Much like Wolfie was saying, I was on the initial tryouts for TNA, and me and Cassidy Riley, when I tell you we did the tryout match, we blew the lid off of it. Well, they hired him, but they didn't hire me. But it did have that same feeling. I said, okay, man, there's some real production here. But what I loved, and I won't get long-winded, what I loved was I was looking around, and these weren't guys who had major pushes on TV, but every one of these guys were guys who could have been, if the right person would have said, hey, give this guy an opportunity.
Right.
I could go down the list in my brain right now of guys that could have been in a major promotion.
Yeah.
With just the right recommendation, because I've always said in this business, it's not what you can do, it's who's going to speak for you and say, hey, this guy, man, we could make some money with this guy. Give this guy an opportunity. It's what you know, it's who you know.
100%.
And with my reputation, and I'm just going to throw it out there because people who know me, I have a reputation of being brash. I don't play politics. I probably speak my mind way too much.
No, not you, John. Not you.
Yeah. But when I did get on and I got there, a bird told me, hey, Matt called, and he did. He asked me, he said, I need somebody that the locker room will listen to. I need you to work directly with the guys. I want you in a little creative. I said, Matt, I will do anything you need done. I said, you just tell me what you want to do. Yeah. But I'm going to tell you, when I got there was so much talent. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like your outlaw indie where you have a couple guys that can be at the show and the rest are just weekend guys or, you know, students or whatever. Man, this was a legit locker room. This could have been a locker room in any major city in this country.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, it was electric for me because straight up, a lot of guys don't know this, and there is a story, and I'll tell it. I'm blacklisted at WWE, okay? And there was a reason for that. I went up, did some work for them. I got some few checks that said, you know, World Wrestling on it. But I got into a conflict, and I spoke my mind and cussed the place and left. So I figured my days were done. And then when Matt finally brought me over, it was that last ride for me, bro. And I ain't gonna lie, I loved every minute of TCW. Every minute of it.
For sure.
And before we get to Gary, because I do, you know, definitely want to round this out. Brother, I saw you in matches at TCW, and then I know that picture you sent me in those messages is after TCW, bro. Like, what is it, man? You were like, what kind of water are you drinking, brother?
Matt Sigmund, who worked at TCW, was a phenomenal hand. He used to, every time I'd see him, he'd say, Saxon, every time I see you, you are getting younger. Well, I rest assured, if I sent you a picture right now, you wouldn't agree anymore.
Keep it up, John. You're looking great, brother.
Let's take a quick time out and get a word from one of my dope-ass sponsors, and we'll be right back with more Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
Support for Live and in Color with Wolfie D is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped recently launched the Ultimate Men's Hygiene Bundle, the Performance Package. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code WOLFIE at manscaped.com. If my math's correct, that's about 8 million balls.
Hey folks, this is Wolfie D here, and if you are looking to buy or sell a home in Tennessee or Southern Kentucky, you're going to want to call my buddy, the rock star realtor, Benji Bowie. And you say, Wolfie, how do I get in touch with this rock star? Well, you can call him directly at 615-390-8216. You can go to his website, bowiehomes.com. That's B-U-I-E homes.com. Or you can email him at benbowie34@gmail.com. When you need a home, you need the Rockstar Realtor.
Benji is a member of Exit Realty's Garden Gate team in Gallatin, Tennessee.
Gary, what's your favorite moment other than, maybe tagging with the greatest tag team partner of all time?
Well, yeah, that's always the plus working with Wolfie.
Gotta suck up to the boss.
Mine was probably you gotta. Probably the time when we were feuding, Hounds of Hell, we're feuding with Genetic Perfection, and Alan was in on this when we hung him over the rope with the chain. Dude, that was so freaking white hot heat right there. That was good shit.
Yeah.
Was that the same?
Was that the same night that I dove through the table and all that too?
I think it was later than the show. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was so funny because that was that heat that were like people like the referees and shit, and then I had people asking me and were almost scared of what I was doing. It was like, dude, are you fucking pissed off at this person? No, I'm not fucking pissed off. I'm just fucking trying to get some heat, man.
Right. Yeah, but
that was not the first time. I remember my first night in. What was the kid's name I worked? He had a dad that worked.
Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton. Yeah. And after the Andy Dalton match, I'd had more than one person. The boys come up to me and go, "Were you pissed off at him?" I'm like, "No, man. I didn't hurt him. I'm just trying to get some heat, It's like, come on, guys." And I think my point in saying that, Gary, is I hope that I was able to relay that into your persona to help you because, I remember a couple of times we come back to the back, I'd be like, bro, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to be more aggressive, blah, 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 blah. Don't be, and so that was my point in saying that is I hope I relayed that to you.
Oh, you did, Ben. I was pretty much just doing comedy and just an enhancement guy there until you got there. And then my character actually evolved into just a little asshole. It was good stuff.
Yeah, a badass, man. I mean, you can see it in the pictures, like from the time when we first became partners to the end, and you had the black dreads by the end, and I mean, it's almost like you not only intellectually and ring psychology morphed, but you physically morphed as well.
Hell yeah, it's good times, man.
Real quick, I'm gonna jump in on this, man, since I got you right here. It blew my mind when I talked to you, I don't know, a few years ago, and you're like, "Yeah, man, I'm a cop. I'm a fucking SWAT team cop." I'm like, "Oh, shit." Yeah, so give us a little insight on
why did it blow your mind, Wolfie?
It just did because, man, I'm not gonna put him on Front Street, but it just
because I was high as shit during all the TCW days.
Exactly.
Roosevelt's a cop.
Yeah,
I was. I'm not now though.
Dude, a SWAT cop's got to be the coolest cop too, by the way. So,
dude, I just applied and they hired me. That's how I got into it. I shit you not. That's all it was.
You did so, and tell them what made you get out of it.
Oh, I can't get along with other cops. That's exactly what happened. Like the lieutenant hired his daughter, and I just couldn't get along with her, and one of us had to go.
I don't play well with other cops.
I don't. They're assholes, man.
I mean, I've said that all along, but not you, man. Not you.
That's so funny. Isn't it funny, Jimmy? Like, okay, so last week we had Andy Douglas on. He goes from degenerate wrestler to a respected chiropractor. Gary goes from degenerate wrestler to a SWAT cop, and yeah, it's just funny.
I mean, it's people change, man. I'm waiting for that to happen to me, but we'll wait.
Me too, man. Me too. I'm still a degenerate wrestler. I can't get it right. I never will.
So this is actually something I'm very interested in, and it can be another round table because I want to know everybody's interpersonal relationships with Matt, man. Because I mean, Matt's the guy. Matt, in a sense, you all were TCW, but Matt, was TCW, right? So I guess start with you, Killer, and go backwards again. You know, what was your interactions with Matt like, and maybe what is your lasting opinion of him?
All right, yeah. So I met Matt before TCW started. Like I don't know where I first met Matt Riviera, but I met him. So I was trained by Nightmare Ken Wayne, right?
Okay.
Part of the training program is to do a shit. You ain't gotta be sorry about nothing. I'm a bad motherfucker, man. Ain't nobody take that away from me.
Poor Ken.
Now look,
ain't nobody gonna say Ken Wayne couldn't work, brother.
Oh, no,
absolutely not. Absolutely not. And he helped me tremendously. I just honestly, even before the bullshit of what we know now, I didn't like him then. I thought he was an asshole. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, yeah. I mean, Ken will tell you, yeah, he was an asshole. I'll tell you this though. When I was trained by Ken, when I got to NXT, you know, and Bill DeMott, and Bill DeMott's got his reputation with it. Dude, Bill DeMott was easy work with me, man. Like,
yeah,
you know, I was prepared. I was bulletproof. You know, you couldn't gas me out. You couldn't fuck me up. I was on target, right?
Right.
But part of the training, you graduate, you do a 60-minute Broadway, right? And now it's what I think I know Matt. Don't remember how much long before that, but him and Bill Ash came to that graduation match. He saw me do the 60 minutes, and then after that, that's when we really started developing like a real friendship. You know, I got a really cool story that I don't know. It's about one time Matt did this benefit show for a family. Kid died in a car wreck, and I was living on another world at the time. I showed up late, tried to shave my head. I skinned my head both sides like I was wrapped like a war vet, man. I had blood coming down my face. When I walked in the door, now the thing is, I was late. So I came in during the national anthem. The flag was pointed at the direction of where I was coming in at. Everybody's looking at me, and I'm walking on the moon, right? And I got blood coming. They're like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" You know. And then I was the first match out. Anyway, that is a whole other story. But even at that situation, Matt treated me like I was still a regular person, like a regular human. Didn't think of me any different than had I been in my right state of mind and everything else. You know, Matt, he's not a dumb guy. He's a smart guy. He's not someone who's just going to judge you by necessarily what someone says about you. I love Matt. I can tell you this, you know, I do. I love Matt Riviera. I always have, always will. Worked with him plenty of times. He believes in what he's doing. Whether anybody believes in him or not, he's got his head on right, makes good decisions, what he's doing. Anything he does in life, he's going to be all right. I like Matt. I stand behind him and stuff. I'd love to see him again, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there it is.
That's cool, man. Cool. Well, thank you. Gary, what about you, brother?
Oh, shoot. I met Matt in a mud show in middle Oklahoma somewhere, and everybody hated him. But, dude, me and him hit it off. I actually worked Matt's freaking first show he ever ran with Bill Ash. So I was with Matt since the beginning for running his shit. And then Kevin talking about doing that 1 hour match. Do you remember you worked me that first show for Riviera?
Yes. Yeah.
Bill Ash comes up and goes, "This guy's a freaking workhorse." we went out like opening match and shit, cover of the newspaper, man. That was good stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome. John, what about you? I'm sorry you're always in the middle, John. My bad, man. But
that's all right. I'll be the pivot man, brother.
Okay.
No, you know, Matt always tells a story. I guess we had met somewhere at an indie show. I want to say up in the Delta of Mississippi one time, and then there was another guy that was involved, Tom Parker, and he kept in contact. Parker, God love him, he's the worst wrestling promoter on the planet. He was always doing
That's Mike Porter, you know it. No,
but what he was a lifetime media guy. He was great with TV and radio. I mean, he knew that part. If he would have stayed on that part of the business, he would have been gold. But he always wanted to get involved in the booking and the promoting
Yeah.
And he would always talk to Matt, and he had Matt send stuff down to us. And at the time, Matt was still green, and we looked at everybody. I had people send me stuff from all over the country when we had TV, and it just kind of stuck in my mind. So as time went on, I run into Matt a couple of more times, and he would always say how much he loved my work. And, man, I love what you do. And man, you got an old school vibe about you, although you work like a younger guy. And I will say this, he would probably not want this to be public, but I'm going to say it anyway. Matt did something that it blew my mind, okay? While I was working for Matt, down in Louisiana, they had a flood. I don't know if y'all remember this. They had this 300-year storm hit it, and it flooded out. My oldest and youngest son, they lost their home. Their home got flooded out, and they were basically in just dire straits. And I remember Matt had asked me about it. I said, "Well, brother, they're staying with a relative right now. You know, it's hideous." And my oldest son, most everybody knows, my oldest son's quadriplegic. He's in a wheelchair. Yeah. And I want to say about 4 days later, I walked to my box at my apartment, opened it up, and he said, "Don't tell anybody. Here's something for your sons." And he sent my check.
Wow.
And I stood there, and man, I was just stunned. I'm like, "Wait a minute, this is what?" I was like, "Promoters just don't do that." Now, one of the brothers did. Now, a lot of brothers got a GoFundMe, and they did help them out. But, you know, for Matt to do that, and he didn't want anybody to know, and to this day, I don't think I've ever told anybody that he did that. And it floored me. And from that day on, let me tell you, I just knew, okay, this guy, he's just a different type of guy. But once you get to know him personally, and I did, and me and Matt had a lot of the same political views, things like that we didn't talk about during the show, but we would talk on the phone or just when we were off by ourselves. And, but something about it just floored me when I opened that envelope and I seen that check for my sons, and I was just, man, I tell you what, it floored me. So you can imagine my opinion of Matt Riviera, regardless of what anybody else's experience is, he was gold to me every time. Always awesome. Professional, but I to this day, and we still talk every once in a while. Of course, he's a politician now; he's real busy. But I still consider him a friend. And if Matt was to call me for anything right now and need me to do something, it would get done. I promise you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Greg, what about you?
Man, you know, like I said, when Matt and I first met at that little bullshit show in Arkansas, and I ended up being on everything he ever booked after that. You know what I mean? What turned out was, you know, just a, you know, promoter-wrestler relationship, you know, turned into a really good friendship. You know, in the beginning, it was, you know, I was a team player. You know, I tell my young guys all the time, no promoters ever had to call me and say, "Hey, where are you at? Are you coming?" You know what I mean? Like, I was always on time. I did what I was told. I tried to take whatever you gave me and make it better. And he really respected me and my work. And, you know, as you know, to get opportunities in this business, sometimes it just takes that one promoter, you know, to like what you do and like what you are. And he just saw the Golden Boy Greg Anthony as something that he liked. I asked him one time, said, "Do you want me to change anything? Do you want me to get in better shape? Do you want me to change my gear? Do you want me to do this? Do you want me to do that?" And he said, "No, you're perfect the way you are. I love this." You know what I mean? And that's something to be validated, you know, as a performer. But, you know, we became best friends. You know, I was the best man at his wedding. Wow. You know, and I traveled the country with him, you know, and, you know, the opportunities that he gave me in TCW, and then TCW led into the NWA, and NWA led into other stuff. And it's like, you know, I'm able to make a living in professional wrestling now because of the opportunities that he gave me. And I've told him many times, like, you know, I can never repay you for what you've done for me. And he's never asked me for anything like that. You know what I mean? Like John said, he's a politician now and he's really busy. We still talk, you know, every once in a while, but I mean, you know,
I did not know that. What is Matt doing now?
He's a representative.
He's a state representative in Arkansas.
Yeah. Really?
Wow.
Yeah, like the state house, not the federal level, but the state house. Is
he a Republican or a Democrat?
No, he's a Republican.
He's a Republican, brother.
All right.
No doubt about it.
No doubt about it. So,
like I said, but he political views.
But like, see, like what you guys talk about going to those first shows and seeing the production truck and seeing this and seeing that and seeing how he tried to operate professional wrestling on a different level. That's exactly the way he is in politics too. He's so far ahead of some of these guys that are on his level in politics that he's blowing them out of the water. It's something like he's like the leading, fundraiser in the state of Arkansas, or top 5 or something of all politicians, not just his house. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's something ridiculous.
That's cool.
So
that's cool.
Riviera, like
new respect for Riviera at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, he thinks about things on a different level, and when you travel with him and you go the roads with him, he's not looking to do something like Alan said. Like most time we go to shows that are in the low rent building. The guys are paying the least they can for a building to just run a show and have fun, stuff like that. That was never Riviera's mentality at all. TCW was him trying to take over the wrestling world. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like he gave it the absolute best shot that he could. And now he's doing the same thing in politics. And I have a hunch that he's going to do even better things.
Nice. Very cool. All right. Well, you're the next one, Alan. What about you, brother?
Matt is an asshole. No, I'm just joking. Everybody else being so nice. No, Matt is a freaking great guy, man. He was always super polite, always, wanted to strike up a conversation. Because, if you're around a bunch of guys in the locker room, sometimes it's uneasy. Nobody knows who they can speak to, and you're walking on eggshells and all that. But he was always cool to come up and just strike up conversation just about wrestling or whatever. And like Greg said, the more you're around him, the more you kind of get to know him on a personal level, not just professional level. And he was always good to me, always fair to me. I wasn't in a position, I've never been in a position to where I was going to be, somebody's Jerry Lawler or somebody's John Cena or something like that. But he always respected, like Greg said, he'd look at you and could see you're talented, and he knew I've got a spot right here that you would fit. And so, he gave the opportunity, and he wouldn't get in the way either. It wasn't like he would hold you down to elevate somebody else. It's like, here's your however many minutes, and you go out here and give it hell, and we went out there, and several of the guys on this call have all worked each other multiple times. And, it's just a upper echelon of indie talent really on this call, in my opinion. And we all worked underneath Matt. And I think Matt was a great boss, and became a great friend. And so he was always good. I was always jealous of him too, because he had so many boots and so many like tights, and Jesus, this dude had like every pattern you could imagine. He had to have 60 pairs of boots. It was ridiculous. I wish my shoe size and his were the same. I'd have bought some from him. But no, he was a good guy. We Barry and I worked him, and I think that's actually, we took the tag titles off of him and Tim Storm, and the former mayor of the town jumped in the ring, and we had to handle him too. But he was always down to, whatever it took to make the show excellent. That's what he wanted to do. He would go above and beyond. Like Greg was just saying, he excelled. He invested the money that nobody else would, which I don't know if it ever put him in a bad spot, because I know he had money, but just to be willing to do that, to help others, to help all of us out. That just speaks for a guy, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because just because you got the money don't mean you're willing to share it and try to make everybody a star. Because he knew we had his back, So if he excelled, we excelled, and if we excelled, he excelled. So no, Matt was a great guy, still is. I haven't spoken to him in quite a while, but every now and then he'll send me a text message. Hey, thanks for the wedding gift. When he got married, I sent him a gift in the mail. Yeah. But yeah. No, classy dude, man. And do what?
He's divorced now.
Is he really?
Damn.
Well, shit. So I wonder if I get that gift back.
She took
it. But damn it. All right. Well, hopefully she's getting good use out of it. Hopefully she'll get
good
nothing
job,
else.
Greg. Way to be a great best man.
Yeah, you can't put all the heat on me on that one, dude.
I'm just kidding.
So I'm going to answer this question now since it's my fucking show. So he called me up, man. I don't know that I'd ever met him before. And he called me up, and like John said it earlier, I guess John had a part in that. And so he calls me up, and then he's telling me, this idea, and he wanted to change my name, and I'm like, dude, I'm Slash. That's what I was doing at the time. And he's like, I want to call you Cerebus and this, that, and the other. And I was like, okay. And I think this came up on social media on our page not too long ago, right, Jimmy? Somebody said something about, or no, it was Greg. It was Greg that said that, that I was very open to changing my name and all that shit. And yeah, I didn't give a shit. I was just like, okay, cool. And he negotiated a price with me because Nashville to bumfuck Missouri was a long fucking way. Let me tell you. And we had a talk about money. And when I got there, he treated me well, respected my thoughts and opinions, and I had a great time there, like I said, man. And as far as him as a person, we didn't hang out. Me and him probably are, eons away from each other personality wise. But I think he respected what I could do for him and what I could do to help out, And then at the end, I'll tell you this, man. It's funny that you say he's a politician because just like Trump, you fired. He didn't give me no ifs, ands, or buts, man. It was, I came to the show one motherfucking time. I showed up in Wolfie mode, and I was done. He fired me right then. I mean, not on the spot or anything, but that was my last show. And there was no, hey, please don't do that again. Wolfie, come on, man. There was none of that. It was just, boom, you're done. And I kind of was pissed off at the time, but, Wolfie mode is Wolfie mode. And
you know what? I forgot about that. I'm glad you brought that. You know what? You son of a bitch, I caught some heat for that. Somehow, I had to catch some resistance. Hold on, John. You told me he was all good. I said he is, brother. Come on. Yeah. I had totally forgotten about that until you mentioned it.
Shit, I had a good time though myself.
The Wolfie mode comes out every now and then, man. It's costing.
Yeah, well, see, that's why I was sitting here thinking, why wasn't Wolfie on that damn New Orleans show WrestleMania weekend? He should have been there. Now I remember why you wasn't there. You fired.
Hey, Alan, tell him about Wolfie mode.
So, all right. My personal experience with Wolfie mode. It was in Forest City, Arkansas.
Yeah.
And so we're wrestling on Channel 5 for Power Pro Wrestling. And I win a battle royal on television to get a title shot in Forest City that night. And so Wolfie, who is in Memphis, doesn't live in the area. So he heads on over to the building and gets a very early start into getting switched into Wolfie mode. And so by the time we get to the building in Forest City, it's they have Buddy Landell as a guest speaker for a anti-drug rally.
Oh, yeah. I know this story. Oh, man.
And Wolfie has already flipped the switch, and he's full on Wolfie mode. And so Wolfie is the Power Pro heavyweight champion at the time. And so it's me and Wolfie. And I was like, oh, cool. And I mean, not to make him, feel old or nothing. I remember watching Wolfie as a kid on TV. And so I was excited. I was like, oh, man, I get to work with Wolfie. This is going to be great. So I also was very aware that Wolfie was in Wolfie mode. So I was like, this would be interesting if it's not great. So we go out, and when he comes out, he gets on the microphone for what felt like 10 minutes at least. And he's working the hell out of this crowd and getting all kinds of heat. I'm like, oh, we ain't gonna have to do nothing in this match because he's already getting all the heat. Well, something happens, and we end out on the floor, and we're fighting in the people, and he's already, I don't remember if this was before the chair shot. He hit me in the head with a chair and split my head for one. And then we're out in the crowd, and he's walking away from me, and I grab him to spin him around. And to this day, he says he thought a fan grabbed him. So he turns around and punches me right in the nose. And I don't remember if it broke or just started bleeding real bad, but it was a hell of a shot. It was a straight shot. And I remember eyes watered. And the thing was, this was one of the first shows that my mother attended. I'm bleeding out the top of my head and my nose. And we end up back in the ring. And I remember we somehow end up with a chair in the ring, and I'm slamming his head on this chair 10 times like you would a corner turnbuckle pad. And end up, Randy Hales is the promoter, and he's so mad. He storms out to the ring, and he's like screaming, kind of cussing at Wolfie some. And then Brandon Baxter. Brandon Baxter's involved in the finish, and it was crazy. And all I remember was match is over. I go to the back. As I'm walking to the back, Randy Hales is so mad. He stops me. He goes, "I'm leaving the locker room. I don't care what you do to him." And I'm going, wait a minute. This guy just beat the shit out of me. What am I supposed to do to him? So I walk through the back, and Sir Mo is in this locker room by himself, and he's heard that conversation. I looked at him, and he just kind of cocked his head at me, and I go, what the hell am I supposed to do to Wolfie? And because literally this is in my first 2 years of being in the wrestling business. And so I walk up to the stage and went and got dressed, and cleaned up or whatever. And Wolfie got fired over it, but he ended up getting his job back. But yeah, Wolfie mode is something else.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Alan. I love you, man. You know that.
Yeah, I love you too, man.
But you got Barry to get me back though with that clothesline to the throat, man, because I couldn't talk for like a week, man.
I did. I told you I'm still paying him to this day for that one. Like, you hit him in the throat, dude. You ain't got to worry about nothing.
Yeah, he throw punched me for real, man. Ugh.
I remember you were like, "Hey, man, your partner, he's kind of dangerous."
Yeah, and he also like he knocked my shoulder out of place, man, and it was such a simple thing. I don't know if you remember that. It was I'm on the floor, he's standing in the ring with his, he's got his back to me, and I'm supposed to grab his legs. Boom, he takes the face bump. I pull him out of the ring. Boom, 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 and I pull his leg, and he sits on his butt. But his butt sets on my arm, which makes my shoulder go and come out of place. And I yanked it back in, and I pulled him out of the ring. I shoved him up against the ring rails there, and then I kicked him in the chest about 3 times as hard as I could. How hard is that to fuck up, man? A face bump, really? If you're listening, Barry, I love you. But anyway, good times, man. Good times.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. I mean, we took a deep dive here, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to wrap it up here. We're going to come back with Ask Wolfie D Anything. And then next week's show, we're going to have the continuation of our roundtable discussion of TCW. We will be right back.
All right. DJ, hit the music. All right, we are back with Ask Wolfie D Anything, and man, that was a good part 1, brother. That kind of, I feel like it's leading into a great part 2, So.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I'm putting my ideas over, man. I'm good.
Yeah,
coming up this shit, Sometimes I don't feel like being the booker, but when I am, by God, we got some good shows out of that. But yeah, man, that was fun. I enjoyed talking to them. I think everybody was. It's like everybody's speaking from their heart and stuff. You know what I mean? You can tell that everybody enjoyed what we were doing.
Definitely. They cared a lot about it. And man, 5 of those individuals, you can put them on any roster and they're going to entertain people and they're going to do their very best to make it work. And man, and I'm still crazy thinking that John was 50 at that time, man.
I know, man.
He has got the daggone serum of youth. What is that? The youth elixir? Fountain of youth. Thank you. Yeah. But
good, now here I am, 50. and dying and shit. What the hell?
Well, I mean,
I might have rode harder than he did. I don't know.
You probably did, but hey, man, you know. All right, man. Well, our very first question of the show today is from Tim Fox on Facebook. And, you know, Tim's awesome. He always asks great questions and has been a great supporter of the podcast since day one. So thank you, Tim, for sure. He's got a cool strongman gimmick he does, ripping phone books in half and bending, you know, cast iron pans or whatever he does. But anyway, he says, if you could have had any celebrity join you for your entrance rap, who would it have been? And he says, Willie D from the Ghetto Boys, Kid Rock. Anyway, go ahead.
Let's see. Okay, so we got to think of somebody. It's got to be around that time, I would imagine. You know, can't be somebody who just came out. So I'm trying to think. Well, maybe you know what though? You know who I would pick? I think overall, LL Cool J, man.
Oh,
I always like LL.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you'll notice, like on Cat for Your Dome, I kind of stole that beginning part. It gave me the idea for the beginning part. You know, with the cop talking on the radio and all that shit for I'm Bad. And I still know every single word to I'm Bad to this day.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, LL's one of the GOATs, man, for sure. He's definitely an OG for sure. You know, some of the guys that I'm thinking, and he would be incredible. Obviously, having Ina Kamuz or Ini Kamoze or whatever his name is doing, you know, the Hot Stepper song live, man, that would have been incredible. But, you know, Everlast would have been awesome from House of Pain. If they knew how y'all really were living, Cypress Hill. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Cypress Hill.
You know,
I mean, of course, there's Eminem.
Kid Rock would totally work. You know, but Kid was more of an underground Detroit guy at that time. You know,
when you said that, I was just thinking, Lord, who in the hell? And then I just went, I think LL hands down, man.
I think you're right. I think LL is the one, man. Dude, that would have been incredible because he had the look y'all had kind of too, you know? And I mean, dude, yeah, I like that one a lot. So thank you, Tim, for the question. And I think LL is the winner on that one. So
I'm going to knock you out. Knock you out.
All right. This next one is from great YouTube listener. John's showed up for us and enjoys all the podcasts, and we greatly appreciate it. Always commenting and saying cool stuff. So thank you, John. You know, he says, I got a question again. He says, would you consider Bill Dundee to be a shooter? He says, I heard Reggie B. Fine say it once, I think on your show, and I heard Ronnie Garvin say it once on an interview. Thank you.
No. I mean, I believe the majority of old school wrestlers are tough, okay? Mm-hmm. But in the category of shooter, I wouldn't necessarily say that. He's more of a stabber. Wink, wink. No.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think he did pull a gun on Randy Savage that time, and that's a deal too.
Yeah. He is a shooter in that regard.
I don't. Bill's a tough dude, but I wouldn't consider him like a shooter.
Okay.
Because a shooter to me is more of a grappler that can tie you in a knot. You know what I mean?
Right. George Weingroff, you know, those guys, you know. Yeah. But I mean, okay, so like Bill, you know, obviously, you know, we just posted the knife cartoon and some of y'all have watched it, but not all of y'all. We know this because we see the numbers. But, you know, it's funny, someone posted on there and we're not sure who it is. It says, I'm a freaking historian. And they said, I thought this was, you know, interesting. They said that, you know, well, he offered you the negatives, Wolfie, and he said it Wolfie, like it sounds like somebody we know. Oh, and then it says Bill Dundee made more in 1975 than you did your whole career, which to me came across as hypocritical because if he had have done that, then he could easily have paid you the royalties to the pictures he was selling. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So anyway, we're not getting into that. Bill's awesome. We love Bill. He's great.
To be honest, let's think about 1 year. Now, I know he made good money, but he ain't make more than my whole career. So
no, not in 1 year. No. Matt, maybe tied together like his career, your career, maybe. Yeah, I would definitely say that.
Bill drew more money than I did. Whoever this person is took that shit personal. So that's why I feel like it's somebody we know, but
yeah. And I mean, I think our
hiding behind that name, the wrestling historian.
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, we came to a conclusion that, and we're pretty sure. So, I mean, that's a done deal. I mean, I'm sorry, that's a done deal. You know what I mean? Anyway, yeah. So, all right. Thank you for that question, John. We appreciate you, brother. All right. The next one is from our recent guest, and dude, one of the funniest shows we've ever had, honestly. But Chris Hamrick, he asked this question from Facebook. Oh, God. He says, what team did you work that you considered overrated?
Oh, Lord.
I know,
he's just trying to ask questions to get me heat with somebody.
I know. Yeah.
Wow. Man. I honestly, man, I mean, I've worked people that were the shits, but I feel like I don't know that I've worked somebody that I thought they weren't as good as everyone thinks they are, you know?
Yeah.
Man, I'd have to go through throwing names out, man. I can't even think right this second of like a disappointing, match or, I mean, just there were, okay. There's been tag team matches with, say, singles wrestlers that weren't necessarily a team.
Yeah.
And there's guys that, of course, made more money than I did that I didn't think were that good.
Right.
But they did something right because they made more fucking money than I did and got over really well. So they did something right. But
yeah.
And I know he's talking technicality, technically in the ring, but there's a whole lot of those, man. If you really think about it, I mean, I could sit here and name off a lot, but I don't really want to bury anybody, man, and call people out like that. Cause like I said, in the long run, it's about who made money.
Yeah.
Bill Dundee made more money in 1 year than I did.
Your whole career. I mean, so like,
who am I to talk?
Yeah. I mean, I mean, hey, man, you're never going to say like the LOD. They were amazing.
Yeah.
The Smoking Guns, they were amazing. The Heavenly Bodies, the Rock and Rolls, the Doug and Tommy. How about we just say Doug and Tommy? No, I'm just kidding. But just joking. They were great. You know that. And I mean, they're, so really, if it's the answer is that I don't think we worked anyone. I mean, dude, that's an answer. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's the best one I can come up with without just putting teams together. You know what I'm saying? Because as far as like a tag team that was over that we wrestled, I don't really. Okay, now Eric Watts was on here, and he'll tell you that they weren't the greatest, but I don't feel that they were overrated. You see what I'm saying?
Right. They were probably rated properly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, dude, I mean, it can be that. It can be that. I mean, Hamrick's wanting you to get heat, obviously, to say something
that's Hamrick, and I hope he's listening.
Yeah. How about did you work Hamrick before?
I don't think so, but he's definitely overrated.
Oh man, yeah, that's funny, dude. Seriously, if y'all have not heard that episode, go listen to that one. That one's funny. Yeah. You'll enjoy your time listening to that one, if nothing, just for the entertainment part of it. So, but yeah, well, hey, if you don't have, I mean, the cool thing is you guys got to a level that you couldn't be overrated, really.
I feel that way.
Yeah. You couldn't have an overrated team coming in. So I think
a lot of people might say that we were overrated, but I believe we were underrated.
Absolutely. And we're never going to say that y'all were overrated. Always underrated, 100%. So, yeah. Well, that is all I got for this episode today, brother. And we will,
Yeah. Coming back next week with part 2. And the same 5 gentlemen that joined us today will be joining us again next week. Be sure you tune in, folks. Well, holla.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Sheik, Jared, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise. This team does it all. And all they ask is, Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here, inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it, plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at WrestleCopia.com. And to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to uswapodcast.com.
Hey, it's the Heat Miser Scotty Blaze, and I'm inviting all of y'all to join me on my brand new podcast, Turning Up the Heat with the Heat Miser Scotty Blaze. What are you waiting for? Come on over and join me. I'll be covering all the events of the day, global, national, pop culture, movies, gaming, whatever sounds interesting. But I'll also be playing some awesome skating shuffle music from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. Anything that has a good beat, I'm going to be playing it. You can rest assured. Come on over, TUTHradio.com. The podcast is on every major podcast platform. See you then.
That's right, it's the talk of Middle Tennessee, the channel you love to hate and the channel you hate to love. It's Brian Turner from Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. And if you're looking for matches from Wolfie D to Jerry Lawler to Dusty Rhodes and the team that put a pimp before your eyes and a goatee between your thighs, Booty Call and Athena, go to lostwrestling.com. See, I made it easy for you. Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. Booyah.
So that was another great episode. Hey, Wolfie, tell them where they can find you on social media.
Jimmy, they can find me in the club, bottle full of bub. I'm just kidding. They can find me on Facebook. My personal page is Warren Wolf, WLFE. I'm on Instagram at Warren Wolf 13.
You can always find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Live Wolfie D. Here's the thing. Wolfie always has offers for his autographed photos. He has a selection of some awesome photos from throughout his career that he will autograph and personalize any way that you want him to. Just contact him either directly at his personal Facebook page or through any one of our other pages, and we'll make sure you get in contact directly with Wolfie. Get those photos, right, Wolfie?
Yeah, I've got some good stuff on there, to help with the podcast.
Folks, if you can't get out to a show to meet Wolfie D, there's nothing like that, especially for the fans of PG-13 and Wolfie D. And before we go, you can always find me, your host, Jimmy Street, at James Rock Street on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
And hey, Jimmy, before we go real quick, I just want to add in there, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate, first of all, the work you've done for this podcast. You have worked your butt off. Secondly, the people that are liking the page. Beyond that, even more, is the people that are listening, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, and remember, guys, the podcast drops a new episode every Monday at noon, and our past episodes are streaming now on demand on all major podcast formats. Thanks again.
I got a cap for your dome.
He got a cap for your dome.
I got a cap for your dome.
He got a cap for your dome.
He
got a cap for your dome.
And here we go. The original white boy that came out sagging, not bragging, don't be hating, cause I'm spitting the truth. Still livin' in color. Bum rush your mother, utilize a hubcap, unlike any other. Back in the day, I was NOD, and I was P to the G, plus the 1 and the 3. In case you forgot, they call me Wolfie D. Been cloned and copied so many times, tired of suckers taking credit for what is mine. You know who you are without me name dropping. Wrestling's first white boy coming out hip hopping. Been doing it like this since '92. Laid low for a while and you thought I was through. Listen real close to these rhymes that I've injected. This shit's so sick it makes your ears get infected. Mad skills, no faking, there is no one great. Cause I'm bringing more folks than Obi-Wan or Vader. Not here to play games, so you better beware. You don't like me, so what? I really don't care. Like time I keep ticking and I can't be stopped. You sucker step to the side unless you wanna get dropped. With my finish, I'll straight knock you out. Please allow me to tell you what it's all about. I'm gonna wind it up, then I'm driving it home. It's Wolfie D, baby. I got a cap for your dome. I got a cap for your dome.
We got a cap for your dome. We got a cap for your dome.
This has been a James Rock Street production.